comprising 2 beautifully decorated modern guest suites with seating capacity for up to 1,100 guests. An ideal choice for engagements, weddings, Mendi parties, exhibitions and seminars. Supported by the latest sound and video technology, air-conditioned and free Wi-Fi. Contact us today and see how we can make your vision a reality. The Eastern Pavilion Banqueting Hall, located on Featherstall Road South, Oldham. A perfect choice for your perfect day.
Welcome to UK24 TV, where we'll be doing a series of the roadshow leading up to the local elections on the 2nd of May 2019. You've met a number of reselecting in terms of candidates, together with new candidates, and we continue our journey within the Borough of Oldham, where we will continue to speak to those people who've had some experience within the actual council, but then are looking to be reselected as well. As we said previously, around a third of the councillors, existing councillors, are looking to be reselected. So there's a bit of a challenge going on. And then we've had those occasions where we've spoken to those people that have moved from the traditional seat that they held within a particular party and have decided to go independent. So it's been very interesting. And of course, as usual, we've heard your comments and in terms of support, together with some of the issues that you feel that we need to raise within this programme. We are on Facebook Live, together with YouTube Live. So whichever stream that you're looking at, please send us your questions and comments. But please, I must remind you that try and keep them professional. Try and use your words very carefully, because there will be many people from across the board who will be reading your comments. So I want to bring in somebody I've got to know on a different field, and we have got Councillor Javid. Iqbal, assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the programme.
Welcome, Salam. Thank you for inviting me. Thank you.
Most welcome. We've also got in support a colleague of yours from the Labour Party, is Councillor Shoab Akhtar. Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to the programme.
Wa alaikum salam, and thank you for inviting us.
Excellent.
To your channel.
We have actually invited many people across, and though obviously straight away I got a contact from yourselves to say that you would be more than happy to come on air. And it's not easy, everybody, because we are live. So for those people that think that maybe this is a recorded program, let me remind you, it is a live program, and it's not easy to actually do live programs. I say that because I know that even though this year has been a special year for you, Councillor Javid, you've actually been the mayor this year, and I've seen you in different get-ups. And now let's get the Mr. T thing out of the way right at the beginning, and then we can concentrate on other things. So what's the year been like for you?
Alhamdulillah, it's been an absolute dream. I never ever thought, never in a million years did I ever think I would be the mayor of Oldham. My parents opened, as I keep saying to my community, my parents opened one of the first Asian grocery shops in Oldham back in the mid-60s. And we've still got the same grocery shop. We're still in the same business. But, I kind of re-engineered myself at the age of 30, went back to full-time education, bettered myself, was given an opportunity, and alhamdulillah, you know, with the grace of Allah and with the guidance of my parents and the community, I managed to successfully get a degree at the age of 35. And that's a major achievement for somebody who's got a family, you know, and, you know, looking after the family and also going back to full-time education.
It's a big commitment, isn't it? I mean, we're going to talk about education later on, but it's a big commitment. In 2007, you were elected as a councillor within the ward that you live and grew up in, Werneth. So, as a family, are you a family of politicians? Have you been involved in politics before?
No, this is totally new for the family. None of our parents, relatives, nobody from the whole, you know, family has ever been in politics. But it was the community that approached the family saying, we'd like you to be our community representative. Why? Because, you know, the family have been there for the community since the mid-60s. You know, we did home deliveries back in the mid-60s because the mentality, the mindset of the early settlers was they're going to a foreign land, they're going to work as hard as they can and go back to Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, where they were from. So they never had time to go shopping and the infrastructure wasn't there. So we had the, you know, the infrastructure to do home deliveries, which was kind of, you know, unique. But the most unique aspect of that service was that we had the keys to our customers' homes. You know, they were out working, Saturday morning, 6 o'clock, who was going to be there? So we used to do deliveries at 6, 7 o'clock Saturday mornings. They were either asleep or at work. So open the door, leave the food there, and then come back and worry about the cash later on.
As a community, there's around 13,500 people living within that particular area. Werneth, in terms of, if I can look at communities and break that down, has around 23, just over 23% of white background. We're going back to 2011 census, may have slightly changed. Of Pakistani background, there are 48.6%. Bangladeshi around just over 17%, and around 10% didn't indicate. So you've got, in terms of the split, heavily populated Pakistani heritage community. You're from that community. What's the view on those communities now in terms of where they're sitting within that particular ward?
Well, Oldham, within the Great Manchester area, has the highest percentage of BME communities across the Great Manchester ward. I think it's overall 22.5%. And, you know, we try to cater for all the communities, irrespective of their ethnicity. You know, and we are, you know, trying to provide services to those communities, you know.
In your year as a mayor, I know that I've seen you at different events, and sometimes I don't recognise you because you're in a get-up, and that's been quite inspirational to many young people. So when you are from a particular ethnic background as a councillor, and you're going to churches, and you're going to community setups, and you're going to working men's clubs and all these areas, how are you received? Are you received any differently to any other mayor?
I've been really, really fortunate that, you know, I've been received like most other mayors, in the sense that, you know, the community have been very approachable, and they've gone out of their ways to make us feel comfortable. So it's been a humble experience, you know, being the mayor and being able to see all the different communities across Oldham, you know, from Saddleworth to Lees, down to Werneth, Failsworth, you know, across the breadth of Oldham. You know, the communities have been well receiving.
Excellent, thank you. Councillor Shoab Akhtar, you are a friend and a supporter of Councillor Javid, who's at present is a sitting mayor. When did you first meet him, and how over the years, what's the relationship been like?
I mean, I've known Javid for most of my life. Obviously, I'm a lot younger than him, so
I'm waiting for a comment to come in about that. The word a lot.
And I think what I can remember back now was I got to know him when he was actually running his family business. his family used to have a video shop on Werneth Road, which has been turned into a hardware shop now. So I can remember sort of hiring or renting videos and films from the family and watching them all throughout the night, etc. But what I can say about Javid is very hardworking, trustworthy, and very sort of a kind. I used to sometimes call him a kind giant as well, because he's got a big heart and he's always there to help out people when they ask for help, to be honest with you. And I've never had a more trustworthy colleague than Javid, to be honest with you, and that's what I like about him.
The approachability factor, one of the things that's come out in comments when people do send their comments in, is the fact that is, when are you going to be available, who's going to be available, should you be re-elected. The 24-hour thing, and sometimes I think that we go from UK time to PK time to some other country time. Is that, are councillors available?
I think with Javid, it's people sort of use that with him, that he's not approachable, etc. I'm going to be honest here, that's what we're picking up out in the community. But what people are forgetting is that Javid had two experienced councillors alongside him. And a lot of time, our community tends to go to the more experienced councillor for help and support. Yes. So people have sort of, in a way, not asked Javid for support and help. They've either come to myself or Fida. And that's where, obviously, people, in a way, are saying you more approachable or Fida's more approachable and Javid isn't. But they've never actually tested him out, whether he is or not, because they come to us and get the work done. And for them to say that he isn't, I think sometimes it's a bit ingenuine, I think.
Councillor Javid, in terms of working with a team, just as Councillor Shoab just said, is that you have two colleagues, alhamdulillah, who've got a wealth of experience. What's it like working with people as part of a team? Do you feel that you're more of a team player, more of a leader, or do you sort of shy away from certain responsibilities?
We're all team players, you know. We work very well together, and if I'm not available, historically I've spent 15 years working at a high street bank outside of Oldham as my IT occupation, and there was signal issues there, so you know the perception was that I wasn't available during the day. But since then, for the last couple of years, I've been relocated in the city centre Manchester. So whenever I've received a phone call or a text message, I've always replied, followed up on that conversation or that query, and if I've not been available, then my colleagues have stepped in. So we work well together as a team. So I'm a team player. There is no one individual who's better than the others. We're a team, like the community. We're a team together.
I mean, let's look at Oldham, and let's look at particularly within this particular borough. I was looking at some of the stats as I've been doing with all the different wards. One of the things that I found quite interesting is the fact when you look at crime rate, I want to start with crime because I know it's something in terms of you work with different communities. The crime rate has been on the rise, around 26.9% in terms of it's over last year. It's been on the rise. On the other hand, antisocial behaviour has come down. Antisocial behaviour has come down from 344 reported incidents to 299. But in terms of violence without injury, that's been on the rise by 39%, which is around 40%. I mean, what does that say to you in terms of communities? What does that say?
Well, those statistics are from 2011, and obviously since Brexit and other events that have occurred, those statistics have kind of changed. But the statistics are kind of out of our control because the policing budget has been cut. And what also happens is that within the communities, there's a perception that why should we report this, the police aren't going to do anything. But the police are really, really stretched. So we need all the residents to phone in the issues that they have, and then the police build up a pattern, data mining. They build up a pattern, and if they see there's an increase in issues in one particular area, then they focus those resources to that area. Would you not agree, Shred?
Yeah, I think in terms of the crime statistics that you've got there, they might. I don't think they show this real picture out there, to be honest with you. A lot of people have stopped reporting.
So you think it's, in reality it's far
a lot
higher?
I do think so.
I mean, I've got some other stats here, Councillor Shoab. You might be able to give us some more information here in terms of the level of burglary dwellings in Oldham, and it's looking at those that there is the highest level of burglary dwellings within Oldham or from this particular ward. Werneth has the highest number of people, basically people's homes. That's what we're talking about, isn't it? We're not talking about shops, commercial buildings, residential homes. The highest number is from this particular. This is the information that we have. I mean, is that what you're talking about in terms of the realities of what's happening?
Exactly. I mean, obviously the burglary rate has increased year by year, and at the same time there have been some attempted burglaries where people haven't actually reported them as well. What you've got to understand that because our ward is quite diverse, and we've got a large ethnic minority population living in our particular ward. And when those burglaries take place, the burglars tend to find either cash or gold in these properties, and they know that in any property that they go to, they're going to find some form of cash, whether that's a charity box, a mosque box, etc.
Simple savings.
Simple savings. They always find, and that's why we got a higher burglary rate, I think, because the burglars think I'm going to be pretty well off if I manage to break into some of these houses. And the other thing that we've got is we've got a number of different alleyways in our particular ward, and we've actually done a lot of work over the past few years where we've gated alleyways off so that people can't easily walk through the alleyways.
Making them secure.
Because a lot of the burglaries were sort of, the entrance into the property was through the back doors, to be honest with you. And that is one reason why we've sort of gone down that route in terms of to sort of stop environmental blight, and at the same time to make it difficult for burglars to break into the properties.
In terms of households and in terms of how people live, in terms of cohabitation and household composition, if you look at this particular ward, 16.5% overcrowded houses. The average for Oldham is 7.5%. So you're talking double the percentage in terms of overcrowding. Is that not simply people's life choices, living in bigger families?
It's the type of housing, and the early settlers, settled within the central areas of Oldham because there was the houses that they could afford. And as time progresses, they become more affluent, they move out, and then other settlers move into those properties. So at the moment, we have Eastern Europeans and other settlers from Europe, settling in those properties because it's the style of housing that is here, and obviously it's wherever they can afford. And as the younger generation, progress through society and get educated, they move to affluent areas. So it's the diaspora of the area. We are trying to meet that by building bigger and better houses. So within Werneth, we've had a number of successful developments. We've got the gateway to Oldham on Ashton Road. We've got a development on Chamber Road, where the old school used to be. There's communities who have the self-build projects within Werneth. So there are, bigger houses being built and trying to increase the prosperity of the houses, within Werneth.
I mean, knowing the communities and the fact that you're from that particular community yourself, you've spent all your life here, even though you may have worked slightly outside in terms of your day-to-day running is from there, and family connections and business connections. Taking all those things into account, should you be re-elected, what would be your main priorities for this particular ward?
Well, my priorities are education. We're aware that there's a schooling issue. We are looking at providing additional schools, but that particular project or phase is not in the council's hands because now academies are coming in. So we're working with them to find a location for school for inner Oldham, and there are a couple of bidders who are very close to securing that. So, watch this space. It'll be announced within the next maybe couple of months, is it?
Something like that.
Yeah.
I mean, if you look at adults with no qualifications, the Oldham average is around 29%, just short of 30%.
3 out of 10 people.
But in terms of within your particular ward, is just under around about 37%, 36.8%. That's from the last census, and some people would argue perhaps that's even worse now. So if you look at that, there is a significant difference there. Despite all this, the adults with degrees, the Oldham average is around about 18% with a degree, and the for this particular ward is around about 15%, so a slight difference there. Aspirations and hopes, what does that mean?
Well, as in my current position, I've been trying to inspire our communities to, believe in our children, invest in our children. I keep saying this word, inspire to aspire. And this is, we need to give our future generation that encouragement, spend time with them, go to their parenting classes, their after school classes, and, take interest in your child's education. That's how we're trying to inspire the younger generation and the parents to take the positive step forward. And as I said, in my current position, I've been trying to inspire the communities, and we're working on, for example, just a quick example to give you, there's St Thomas's Church. That's converted itself into a charity. It's going to be a community centre, a hub for the community, and we're going to be, the charity are going to be running additional educational training facilities there that the local community can utilise to better themselves. So, A-level classes, after school classes, for parents who want to better their lives. It's a start. This is how I started back in '93. I went to a part-time college in the evenings and enjoyed what I did and progressed. So this is something we are creating, at St Thomas's Church. So that's what we're trying to do.
Shoab, sort of inspiring people to aspire to better themselves. You being an experienced councillor, working within a team, representing a particular school of thought in terms of a political party, being the Labour Party. Do people really believe in the fact that they can aspire to become councillors, aspire to become mayors, to aspire to run businesses within Werneth or within Oldham?
Definitely. I'm quite passionate about Oldham itself. I was 8 when I came to Oldham from Pakistan, and Oldham itself has opened up a number of opportunities for myself and for my family. I became the youngest mayor of Oldham. I got educated in Oldham. I managed to get a degree in chemical engineering, etc. Like I said to you, it's opened up many opportunities. And what we want to do is open up similar kind of opportunities for our future generations and for our elderly residents as well.
How's it changed though? You look back to the 60s and 70s. I'm sort of second generation here. We've got 4 in our family. We're now onto the fourth generation. How's it changed? You come in as an 8-year-old aspiring.
It's changed a lot, because if you look at I'll give you my family background. My parents were illiterate, and I was the first one from my family to go to a university. And it happened because Oldham opened up those opportunities. Had I not come to Oldham, I wouldn't have had those similar kind of opportunities. I probably would have been a manual worker somewhere in Pakistan or in England somewhere. But my parents encouraged me to get myself educated. What my father said to me was, son, if I get a letter, I have to go to somebody else and ask them to read it for me. Do you want the same for yourself, or do you want to better yourself?
Okay.
And I've remembered that as a child, because I used to interpret for him. And there's a number of different sort of lessons that my father gave me that obviously I don't want to go into that more. But what I'm
sure that would be showing itself.
We'll be here for hours and hours. But what I want to start on is in terms of, yes, we've got austerity, we've had a number of budget cutbacks, we've taken millions, 100 millions out Oldham's budget. But when the Labour administration came back into control in 2011, I was a deputy to Jim McMahon, who's our MP. He was the leader.
Yes.
And one of the things that we wanted to do at the time was to raise aspirations. And we set up an initiative called Get Oldham Working. The whole point of that particular initiative was to encourage people in Oldham, whether they're young, working class, etc., that work pays for itself, get retrained, and we opened up opportunities. We've created over 5,500 opportunities over the last 8-9 years now for Oldham residents to get them back into work experience, apprenticeships, etc., and encouraging new businesses to actually move into Oldham. What we wanted to do was encourage our residents not to rely on handouts, get out there and work hard, and hopefully the opportunities will open up for you.
Okay, we're going to move on to a break. I've just been reminded we're going to move on to a commercial break, and then we'll bring we'll talk about these aspirations. We'll talk about aspirations, but also we'll talk about some of the austerity drives that have been have moved communities, and have they moved them to a positive pathway, or are they making those holes of negativity even bigger than they need to be? So if you've got any questions, you're from this particular ward, or maybe you're not from this particular ward, and you're concerned about what's happening around in your communities, maybe these two guests that we have here may be able to answer some of those questions. I'm just having a look through. We've got a number of comments, but no questions at the moment. So if you've got any questions or you want to make any contribution to the programme, please do so. We are going to go towards a commercial break. We'll see you straight after that, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.
The Eastern Pavilion Banqueting Hall, comprising 2 beautifully decorated modern guest suites with seating capacity for up to 1,100 guests. An ideal choice for engagements, weddings, Mendi parties, exhibitions and seminars. Supported by the latest sound and video technology, air-conditioned and free Wi-Fi. Contact us today and see how we can make your vision a reality. The Eastern Pavilion Banqueting Hall, located on Featherstall Road South, Oldham. A perfect choice for your perfect day.
Welcome back to UK24 TV, where we are live and we were continuing our conversation about the local elections 2019. We're speaking today about a particular ward within Oldham, the Werneth ward, and we have today 2 sitting councillors who, in particular, Councillor Javid, who's our present mayor, but we're going for really in terms of being for the elections, going for the elections again. I couldn't find a word then. Just before the break, I was just having a look at some of the comments. Now, let's try and bring some of these people in. Alamgir, Assalamu alaikum salam. You've sent a message through. How are you? Fine, thank you. Wonderful here. But I've got a question here from Soban. Ask, when are these streets getting sorted? So streets, when are these streets getting sorted? I'm assuming is meaning the rubbish or...
Well, okay. As regards to streets, if you look at my leaflets, there's a list of the streets that are scheduled for road repairs, and we are proactively working with them. The local council have received additional funding for the potholes, and they are working through them systematically. So The list escapes my mind, but if you look at my literature, you'll see the list there.
I can mention a few.
Go on then.
Go on, mention
Obviously,
a few, Councillor Shoab.
Werneth Road will get resurfaced, along with Wellington Road. Frederick Street will get resurfaced. Coniston Avenue, Lincoln Street. Can I check my...
To name it, you can do.
Yeah. I don't want to get them wrong, you see.
No, don't get them wrong.
Yeah.
I've got another question here. How will you address the shortage of secondary school places for residents of Werneth Ward? So let me just try and read it. So they can access good outstanding attainment schools. So do you want to finish it, then we'll come back to yourself.
I think the only one that I missed out was actually Newport Street.
Oh, well done. He's done his own work. So them with the particular streets, and is it particular potholes?
No, they're getting resurfaced, yeah.
Okay.
Obviously, we haven't got enough money to do all the roads across Oldham, but the Labour administration itself freed up some money, extra money from within the budget to do some road resurfacing.
Okay. So, schools, I mean, you've spoken passionately about education, re-education, and you made reference to academies within a particular area. Secondary schools is something that has been mentioned throughout the last couple of days by different councillors and candidates. What's the actual issue in terms of the schools and academies here?
Well, the issue is that Oldham Council doesn't have a direct responsibility, for the schools because of the academies coming in. The government's changed the goalposts, so academies can, apply and say that they want to open up, and then if they are successful, then they can proceed with their establishment. And what we are trying to do is we are trying to encourage the academies, once they are successfully got their planning permission and permission to operate, we are trying to negotiate with them on their admissions policies, to make it fair for the central wards of Oldham, for their residents, so that the admissions criteria is fair.
So what's the difference between an academy and a traditional state school?
Okay, an academy
in simple words, for people who don't really understand it.
An academy is a business.
Okay.
Okay, so a school is an academy. It's run by individuals or organisations that have the infrastructure set in place to provide the ancillary services, cleaning, stationery, and it's a Conservative government project that if you look at it, all the ancillary services, or majority of the ancillary services on an average, are their friends.
But teachers, I mean, where do the teachers come from? I mean, where does the education is provided by the teacher? I mean, the teachers are there to inspire and to do the actual teaching, aren't they? So how is that different to in an academy to a state school? I mean, I'm just trying to inform our viewers.
The education system is fragmented at the moment. Obviously, like Javid said, there's the academy trusts that run some of our schools, and then we've got some comprehensive schools which are under the local authority itself, and we haven't got many comprehensive secondary schools left now. Majority of them are actually
many of them are gone, haven't they?
Or free schools. But the academies, as a local authority, we don't have any say over how those academy or trust schools are actually run. They're actually sort of managed by the governing body, whether that governing body is local, or some trusts or academies actually have schools nationally. So they might have a national, they might have a governing body that actually governs all those schools across Britain, and local people don't have much say over it. And unless a school is actually sort of requires improvement, or is inadequate, if it's inadequate,
so if it goes into special measures or anything like that,
then the responsibility comes in with the local authority. But we don't have any power to change the governing body there, or to change the academy trust itself.
We've started to get more questions in.
What we're trying to, in terms of education itself, what we're trying to do at the moment is we're trying to encourage good and outstanding trust to come into Oldham, or at the same time we've just managed our Oldham sixth form college to set up an academy itself. Now they've started to run Hathershaw School, and we're trying
to use the experience of those people that did it well to come into the area.
Well,
to do that.
the academies that we've had so far that have come in from outside haven't really actually delivered in Oldham. They've actually let down our young people, to be honest with you. And what we're trying to do now is encourage local sort of providers to set up academies and trusts.
Okay.
So because they understand the Oldham sort of young people
so
itself.
On that note, where it talks about understanding Oldham, I'm just going through some of the comments and the questions here now. So one of the questions that we've got, and maybe you could answer this, Councillor Javid, what are the aspirations for Oldham as a borough? As a borough, what are the aspirations for that?
Okay, the aspirations of the borough is to encourage investment in Oldham. Okay, so we're trying to get organisations to invest in Oldham. So one of the positive results that's got a positive, tangible result is that Princess Gate, we've got a national retailer that have secured and signed the agreement, and along with them we've got other ancillary services that work closely with this retailer, and they are looking at securing some retail land there to build their business. So we're trying to encourage that. So that's one successful outcome. But me, as in my current position, in this year, I've wherever I've gone, I've tried to encourage businesses to settle in Oldham, and we've got a successful result in a local northwest business, a property business that's built two warehouses on Broadway, and they're multi-million pound deals that have been secured, and so we're bringing in tangible investment which is there visible. If
you look at Werneth as a ward, it has a very low employment figures and a high out of work benefits are being issued. The average income for Oldham is just over £24,500, where in this particular ward is just under £20,000. So a significant difference. If you look at even though the employment rate has gone down in this particular ward from the Oldham average, the out of work benefits, as I've said, is 21%. There's a question I'm reading those stats out because there's a question relating to that. And the question is how do you, and this is from Latif. Latif asks, how do you aim to improve the lives of those struggling on universal credit? Universal credit is something that's brought a huge array of controversy with it, together with the challenges on trying to get people to understand it, and then that switch over in between. So how do you aim to do that?
Well, one way of improving them is to encourage those parents to, better their lives by going into part-time education in the evenings. You need to struggle to get successful. So, my recommendation would be for those parents to take up additional curricular activities where they can better their lives.
But Councillor Javid, someone who's got a family of 4 or 5 children, they're working during the day, they get home and they've got all those responsibilities. The last thing that they want to do is pick up a bag and then go back to college.
But it has to be done. I did it. It can be done, and if they're passionate enough to better their lives, that's one of the ways that they can escape this race, as we call it, is to go through small hardship in the evenings, go to evening classes, study and attain those additional qualifications and try to better themselves. It might be a struggle in the short term, but long term, if they stay focused and determined, inshallah they will get there.
Businesses out there, in terms of, there's another way of looking at this, in terms of businesses themselves, how proactive are they within this particular borough or this particular ward in terms of getting their employers to aspire? One of the ways that perhaps could be looked at this is are businesses investing enough in their employers within this particular ward?
In Oldham, I mentioned the Get Oldham Working initiative itself. As part of Get Oldham Working, we've got something called in-work progression, where we're encouraging people who are actually in work to be trained to actually sort of progress, get promoted within their career. And then again, funding that is actually available from the council to enable those individuals to do better. What we're trying to do is reskill and upskill our residents so that those entry-level jobs that are available for somebody else to come in, take those jobs, and then people who are actually in those jobs, they move on. We set up an initiative called Warehouse to Wheels. So people who are actually working in the warehouse industry, we sort of enabled funding for them to become HGV drivers. There's a national shortage of HGV drivers, to be honest with you, and that was one way of those individuals.
Look at the supply and demand element of
exactly,
employment.
and people were trained to get the HGV license so they can actually go on and slightly better themselves. But there's grants available to set up a new business as well, and we're the only town across Greater Manchester where we've got a businessman who's actually funded Oldham Enterprise Trust. Grants are available for under 25s and loans are available for over 25 to set up new businesses and to expand existing businesses as well.
We're going to go on to another break.
Just quickly, you know, when you mentioned that how can we retrain our residents, one of the best things that we've actually got in Oldham is our lifelong learning service itself. It was Ofsted, and it's the only one in Greater Manchester, and I'll probably the only one in the northwest that's got outstanding Ofsted inspection. So it's something.
It's about opportunity.
Exactly.
We are going to go on to a commercial break. We have got people are starting to send their actual questions in now, and we are going to continue to talk about. And there's some particular questions that have been sent from Shaban and Sayed Maroof. So we're not ignoring you. I am looking at them. If there's a repeat of a question that we perhaps have answered before, then I'm not going to repeat that question. We are going to look at some other questions, but we have got a couple of them that we haven't answered. So we are going to go to a commercial break. So continue sending in those questions, and inshallah we'll be straight back after the break. Assalamu alaikum.
The Eastern Pavilion Banqueting Hall, comprising 2 beautifully decorated modern guest suites with seating capacity for up to 1,100 guests. An ideal choice for engagements, weddings, Mendi parties, exhibitions and seminars. Supported by the latest sound and video technology, air-conditioned and free Wi-Fi. Contact us today and see how we can make your vision a reality. The Eastern Pavilion Banqueting Hall, located on Featherstall Road South, Oldham. A perfect choice for your perfect day.
Welcome back to UK24 TV, where the questions and comments are coming in really, really fast. So they must have realised that it's only an hour's programme. Mr. Javid says here from Suban, says that he's told you a number of times, I feel like your mum now, he's told you a couple of times regarding parking around Primrose Bank. And in particular makes reference to some homes that are there. The staff are parking around Hoyle Avenue and blocking the driveways. Parking is something that's a particular concern. and balancing when you have local businesses who are growing, aspiring businesses, and obviously the staff have got to park somewhere, but then you've got residents nearby.
Yeah.
So
we are working with this. I have been made aware of this issue, and we are working with the businesses and local residents. You know, so one way of doing it is maybe having parking restrictions on one side of the building or one side of the streets. There's a number of options that we are looking at, you know, at the highways, and there is discussion going to be started with local residents, and there's additional parking on the other side of the building. So we are, as I said, we are working on this. It's not easy because Oldham is a historical, you know, mill town with small narrow streets, and you know we have issues like many other towns, and it's difficult.
So why the staff got big cars?
it's difficult. So you know we are working on them, and
with balancing.
Yeah, balancing. It is because you need to, you know, you need to encourage businesses to invest in Oldham, and so we need to, you know, discuss.
And Councillor Javid, is this a particular area that the council actually makes? Obviously, it's highways. So how much of an input do councillors have in that?
Well, when a planning application goes through, it goes via the planning committee, and then that's where all the decisions are made. And then before then, you know, it's up to the business to consult with the local residents, and you know, so it's a consultation process that businesses tend to take because they need the community's buy-in to be successful.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we've got another question here, quite an interesting one. I've not heard this one in a while. Would you like any of your sons to become councillors in the future?
Why not? You know, I would encourage anybody, if they've got the ability and the get up and go and determination, then by all means, being a councillor, remember you need to be available 24/7, especially within our communities. I've had phone calls at 3 o'clock in the morning. Excuse me, councillor, the road on the Manchester Road is blocked because of snow. Can you come and grit it? And so what can you do? You know, within our community, that's how it is. I've gone out to St Thomas's Circle and I've gritted it myself because the gritters have been busy in other places. So if any aspiring individuals, youngsters, especially the youngsters, if they want to come into politics, by all means, but you know, you need to be available 24/7.
Is it a career or a passion?
Passion.
It's more of a passion.
It's a passion. You need to have that focus and determination because politics is an acquired taste, if I can put it politely. It's an acquired taste with
you don't need to put it that politely.
with lots of hurdles and obstacles on the way, and even though you become a councillor, additional hurdles get placed in your way. So that's putting it politely. Thank you.
We've got a question as well in terms of, perhaps you'd like to answer this one. Azam has asked the question, why have some of the councillors gone from being, well, it actually says, I'll read the words, why are ex-Labour Party members standing as independents? Perhaps you'd like to answer that one.
Well, if it's a question from Mohammed Azam, then it's going to be a difficult question, isn't it? I suppose it's personal choice. It's up to those individuals. If they want to stand up as independent, then it's their choice. And obviously there'll be reasons for them to do so. And I think one individual was actually came on. You had an interview.
Yes.
You had an interview with one of those individuals, so I'm sure he explained himself in terms of why he's standing up as an independent. And I wouldn't like to speak for somebody else, to be honest with you.
Not.
I mean, I've been a Labour councillor myself, and hopefully, inshallah, I'll always stay within my party.
Okay.
Can I just come into that regarding the question? You know, it's up to the individual to, you know, make his own career path. But yet we have individuals who were constantly changing from party to party to party. So one example is an individual who's on the ballot list who was originally a Lib Dem and then became Labour member, and then now is independent. So, you know, what's the ethos on that? You know, but
is there a distinct difference between the parties? One of the things I hear is that, oh, well, they're all the same. They make all these promises before they get elected, and once they're elected, they say, oh, we can't do anything about it because we're not in government. Or if they're in government, they'll say, oh, well, there's only so much that we can do. So in reality, is there a distinct difference anymore? Once upon a time, we perhaps could say that. But is there between these particular parties?
there is a difference, because if you're on the majority party, you have a better say, you have a better percentage of getting those tasks and those duties done. If you're a single seat in the council chamber, then you have limited resources. You have very limited resources and limited powers as to what you can do. But if you're a majority party, then you have a better percentage, better opportunities to deliver for your residents.
Okay, I've got another question here for yourself, actually, Councillor Javid. It's actually from Mohammed Azam, who's obviously taking a very keen interest this evening. Councillor Javid, how many jobs do you do at the moment?
Okay, well,
He's not linked into HM revenue, is he, or something?
No. I've
All a joking.
I've taken a sabbatical from work.
Okay.
I work in the IT industry. I work at the British Council in City Centre Manchester, and my occupation there is to look after their IT infrastructure for the whole of the UK. So quite a responsible job. So if any of the servers or the PCs, whatever, outside of London, you know, all of England, Scotland and Belfast, if they fail, then it's my responsibility to get them up and running. So I've got a bit of weight on my shoulders. But in my current position, I've taken a sabbatical from my day job to be in the current position that I am. And, you know, that's the only job that I have at this moment in time, is my current position as the Mayor of Oldham. I
mean, Councillor Javid, if I could say that, you were perhaps in a position to be able to do that. I mean, in reality, not everybody can do that because they have responsibilities. But I mean, obviously, your current position in terms of a mayor, it does carry in terms of a payroll as well. But do people usually do that? I mean, you've been a mayor as well. I mean, do people normally leave the job and come in and do it full time, or
it's a 8 days a week job, because there's so many responsibilities that you have and so many engagements that you have to attend. It cannot be done part-time. So I've had to take, you know, a sabbatical to do this job and take a massive salary pay cut to be the mayor. Okay.
I've got here, Subhan has come back in. He's obviously not happy with your answer and says, Mr. Javid, you haven't answered my question. If this is not sorted by the 2nd of May, half of the street people won't be voting for you. So he's giving you a bit of a challenge, you know, true to our culture, let's put it that way.
The thing is that from now until after the election,
you better get out there and get the potholes sorted.
We're on PERDA.
Parking, yeah.
We're on PERDA, so, you know, we're restricted as to what we can do from now till after the election. But
what does that mean? You're in PERDA? It sounds like you were in a borough. A veil. Sorry, I didn't.
We're going to hide him now.
Yeah. What does that mean?
It means that, you know, the official council duties, you know, infrastructure-wise.
It basically means that we don't make any decisions to influence the voters to vote our way.
So the challenge is given you is so that doesn't happen. So that if you went out and did it, they'd all vote for you just because you clean the streets up. So it's a bit of a...
Yeah, so... We can't make that promise. It definitely won't be done before 2nd of May.
So that's quite interesting.
It's a promise that we can't deliver on.
You one today, so you can't make any promises. Right, we've got another one here. Debbie said, you have done some fantastic charity work, especially for Maggie's. Can I thank you as a surviving cancer patient?
It's my honour to, you know, have selected the charities that I have. And, you know, it's my way of inspiring our communities, you know, to work together and support these charities, because as I was saying earlier on, the mindset of our early ancestors who came to, settle in England has long gone. So now we need to invest in Oldham, in our services that look after the local community. Hence why I chose the charities that I did. They're all local charities for the local citizens of Oldham.
Okay, we've got Maqsood here, who writes, interested listening to your guest that in Oldham unemployment level is lower. You can get grants and funds to get people going back to college in the evening. Ain't we better off with the Conservatives? So somebody who's a Conservative, do you want to come in there? I think it probably means that we're in government, the Conservatives are in government, these are the opportunities that are available.
Actually, the grants that I've actually mentioned have got nothing to do with the Tory government. These are local initiatives. The grants available for businesses are through the Enterprise Trust. It's a local businessman that's actually donated a couple of £1 million towards the trust. It's got nothing to do with the council. And then again, the actual in-work progression grants that are actually available for our residents is from within the council budget itself. The Tory government has actually taken over £120 million of Oldham's budget itself. So we're not far better off with the Tory government at all.
Okay, thank you for answering that one. Savan's actually come back and he's still going on about the same street. Savan, if it's going to be done, it's not going to be done by this guy because he's not allowed to, but maybe in terms of, you're not allowed to influence what's going on so that you can get the votes.
Correct.
But in terms of input, you've mentioned that there are things that are going to be put into motion.
Correct, yeah. So we are working, this dialogue has been going on for a number of months, the parking issues. And, we will come back to the community with various options. Some of the options the community might not like, but it's a best fit scenario, so we're talking with the business as well. Thank you.
I'm just going to go through, see if there's anything in particular that I've missed off. Let me see. In terms of comments, lots of people have joined us. We've got Habib, Mohammed Azam, Adil, Imran, Mahfouz, a list of people. I'm not going to read all of them. So it's good that we've got a cross range of people, and not just within this particular ward, but across the borough and beyond. One of the things that you mentioned about the shortage of secondary school places for residents of Werneth ward, so they can access. How will you address it? You mentioned schools and working with them. Is there any particular projects that you've got lined up in terms of addressing that issue? Or is it going to be, you mentioned something about building schools. Is there anything, Councillor Shoab, you might want to come into there.
We've
long-term plans.
In terms of school place itself, we've had a pressure in school places for a number of years. It started from obviously the infant school through to primary, and that bulge is coming into the secondary schools. And that is why we're actually building a new secondary school at what used to be the Breeze Hill site in Leesbrook. And then we're actually working on another secondary school that could be built within the town centre somewhere to ease that pressure.
Okay, we've got some final comments in. There's a lovely little comment from Muhammad Ali who says, Jab, I really like you. Sent it to love heart. Final words, really. There's lots of information out there in terms of the wards and what's happening, the stats as I've read out. If there was, you mentioned health and you mentioned education as something. If there was one thing that you felt that you would work on straight away after your, in terms of being re-elected, what would that be, Councillor Javid?
It would be to, again, passionately to talk about inspire to aspire. It would be passionately to encourage our parents to invest time and effort into our future generations, into our children, and give them that, focus and determination. You need to be focused and you need to be determined. And if that focus and determination doesn't come from the parents, then, our children will not be leaders. So that's what I would focus on, is encouraging our parents to assist their children, to attain their best results, and send them to additional tuition classes, invest in your children. And we, as the council, are doing our utmost to create, better educational establishments.
Okay. You're somebody that's known Councillor Javid for a long time, Councillor Shoab. If there was a few words of in terms of your message out there to those people that perhaps haven't decided who they're going to vote for, or want to know another reason why they should be voting for, in terms of the candidate for Werneth has been Councillor Javid Iqbal, what would that be?
I mean, what I'll say to people out there is, you've seen what Javid's done over the last 12 years, and as the Mayor of Oldham. And what I can say to you is that you won't find a harder working councillor than Javid. Put your trust back in him again and get him re-elected on the 2nd of May.
Okay, thank you. And a final word from you. We always give the final word to the candidate. What would those words be in terms of people to vote for you?
Together we need to inspire to aspire. That's been my motto throughout the year. Inspire to aspire. Let's stay focused and determined and invest in our children's future. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. And we have come to the end of the programme. We've had some lovely comments, as well as some, in terms of good questions, in terms of challenging some of the ideas and some of the things that are happening around in this particular ward. We have got a final few comments here from Sayyid Maroof Ali Amir, who says, we all need to re-elect Councillor Javid Iqbal Bhai. He is a good man. Arooj Shah says, Werneth is lucky to have you guys, and thank you for all you do. I don't know if there's anything new, so I do apologise if there's something I've missed. I have scrolled through, try to find something different. So we have come to the end of the programme. We'll be continuing this journey of getting to know our local candidates for the local elections 2019. If you are from a particular ward, or you're standing for elections, or you are maybe an agent working with a particular candidate, then please do contact us. We've had some people who already contact us from the different towns. We will, inshallah, be trying to get them in. It's a difficult time to get everybody in, because the fact that people are canvassing during the day, some of them have got jobs to go to, and in the evening trying to get people to come into a studio. But we will continue that. So do leave your comments on the page. We will try and answer them, and if we can't answer them, we will forward them to the actual candidates involved. So UK24 continues to work with the communities. We are a national web-based TV, and we hope to be able to work with different communities across the United Kingdom. Stay blessed and look after yourself, because in looking after yourself, we look after each other. Inshallah, I shall see you very soon on UK24 TV. Assalamu alaikum.
The Eastern Pavilion Banqueting Hall, comprising 2 beautifully decorated modern guest suites with seating capacity for up to 1,100 guests. An ideal choice for engagements, weddings, Mendi parties, exhibitions and seminars. Supported by the latest sound and video technology, air-conditioned and free Wi-Fi. Contact us today and see how we can make your vision a reality. The Eastern Pavilion Banqueting Hall, located on Featherstall Road South, Oldham. A perfect choice for your perfect day.